Welcome to your 2027 Mountain Aire walkthrough video, and this is the floor plan for a 3825. So if you come up front here, we'll start in the cockpit area. Okay, so the first control pad that you see here on the left side of the driver's console is your HWH leveling control. And to power this leveling control up, you just reach over and turn the ignition on, or turn it to accessories, and you'll see you get additional lights that come on here that indicate we're slightly off level. And to level the coach, you can do it manually by pressing these buttons for extend and retract, or you can just hit the auto level button. Now, before you put your coach into auto level, or you do it manually, you're going to want to walk around the coach and just make sure that there's nothing underneath where the jack pads are going to be extending towards the ground. And you also want to check the reveals on your slide out. Make sure that your slide out reveals are about 1/8 inch. Or excuse me, make sure that your slide out reveals are 3/8 of an inch. And then you'll be able to go into auto level after you've run your slide rooms out. So leveling should only take place after you've checked your reveals and made sure that you can run your slide rooms out. After the slide rooms are out, then you'd want to go into the leveling process. So to do that, you'll turn the key on, hit auto level, and what you're hearing is the air going out of the bags as the coach is going into the leveling process. It takes a minute or two to go through the complete leveling cycle, and once each jack is down, you'll see a red light that comes on to tell you that that jack in that corner is down. So you can see the coach is slightly moving as the jacks are going down. If the area that you're on has too much of a slope, then the excess slope light would come on, and then you'd have to move your coach to a more level position. But we're good here because the excess slope light is not on. If at any time during this process you want the jacks to store and go back up, you would just hit auto store. But now you can see all of our jacks are down, and our yellow lights are off, showing us that we're in a level position. So now we can turn off the ignition. And what you were hearing there was a warning signal that the ignition was on while it was in the leveling process, because the air wasn't in the airbags anymore. So now we're level, and we'll do the exact reverse process for auto store that we did when we ran our slides out. So to go into auto store and bring the jacks up, we turn the key on, let the coach air up, run the slide rooms in, and then after the slides were in, then we would go into auto store. So we'll show you that. Turn the key on. After the coach is aired up, then you would go into auto store. As each jack retracts in the corner of your coach, when it's fully retracted, the light will go out. So before you travel, you want to make sure all your red lights are out. All right, so your last jack is up. The jack warning sound has gone away. And once you have full air in your airbags, you'll be able to travel. So right now, it's showing that we have auto stored. Again, if you at any time wanted to, you could extend or retract these manually, but it's just about as easy to use the auto level and then auto store button to level. In front of our HWH leveling control, we have our Allison shift control. The shift control is going to put your coach in drive or reverse or neutral. And obviously we want to have it in neutral when we set our parking brake. So if we turn the ignition on in the coach, this will light up and this will say the gear that we're in. So this little window in the front here will always tell you which gear, whether it's reverse, first, second, or third, fourth gear, whatever gears here it will display. You can also refer to your owner's manual for more information on the modes and oil level checks, and temp will also be displayed here if you use your mode button. And we'll go through these settings in just a little bit when we start the coach or put it in gear and when we demonstrate the parking brake. But going forward, in front of that, we have the tag dump, auto, and then disable and manual. What this rocker switch does is it releases the air in the tag axle. So in case you wanted to turn a sharp corner in reverse, then the air would be out of the tag axle and you could make a sharper corner going in reverse, for instance. In addition to manually dumping the tag axle, it will automatically dump if you leave it in the auto mode. Just to the right of the tag for dump, you have your engine brake. Your engine brake is an assist feature for your braking, so that when you release your accelerator pedal, if this is engaged, you'll be able to adjust the amount of braking that your exhaust is giving through your engine. So if you're in the mountains and you're going down steep inclines, you would typically turn this on and set this to low, medium, or high, and that will help you save your brakes because it's using the engine exhaust to help you slow down. If you don't want the engine brake on and you're just driving at slow speeds and there's no inclines, then you might want to choose to leave that off. Moving up here, you see your parking brake. Your parking brake is pull to apply or push to release. So whenever I'm parked and my shifter is in neutral, I need to pull this towards me to set my parking brake. When I'm ready to drive again, push this forward and then put it in drive or reverse, whichever direction I'm going to be going. Just to the right of that, I have my mirror adjust. The mirrors for the left and right side in the front. If I want to adjust the left mirror, turn the toggle switch to the left and then make my adjustments left, right, up or down. And then over to the passenger side mirror, I can do the same adjustments. When I'm finished, I want to leave that in the center, so in case if anyone touches those again, no adjustments are made after I set the mirrors where I want. Just below the parking brake is a charging pad for your phone. Just to the right of the mirror adjustment is a switch that we can turn on or off for our heated mirror that will melt frost or remove fog on your mirror if you leave that on for a few minutes. Obviously, if there's no fog or any frost, we can leave that off. So if we want the automatic dimmer switch to be on for our headlights, that's down here. This is automatic lights on, so if we leave that on and this is off, this automatically will turn the headlights on when it's dark enough. In addition to that, if we want the dimmer, the headlights to be on high or low beam, we can turn these on auto high beams and they'll automatically switch to high beam, so we don't have to do it manually here. If we want to cancel it, we push it down. Resume is automatic high beams. This one is the dome light for above us. If we just want to dim the lights here in the cockpit and on the switches, we can go dimmer. You can see the lights are going a little dimmer or brighter. Just below that set of controls is your automatic traction control override. If I turn this on, that will cause the traction control light to flash here on the glass dash. As long as the ATC override is turned on for the automatic traction control, that light or that LED will flash. If I turn it off, then it will disappear. This is your front window for the driver, and this is my air horn. If I turn the air horn on, then the horn will be air. If I turn it back off, then it will just be the street horn. There's your louver for your air heating or cooling here, and this is your Curtis brake control. You can set this to different settings, and that will adjust the amount of brake that your trailer is that you're towing. You can see here I can change the colors, but as they go over, I'm increasing the braking, and as I go back, I'm decreasing the braking on the trailer. On the left side of the column here, I have the turn signal control, and whenever I have the left turn signal on, it shows the left camera. Right turn signal is going to show my right camera. The cruise control is also on the left hand or right hand signal. Just by turning it on and off here to set it, I can turn it on and then I set it here. And then for bright or dim lights manually, the indicators here, I can dim or make my headlights bright. There's an additional hazard switch right here. If I pull this out, you can see my hazard lights come on. To cancel the hazard lights, just pull down or push forward on the lever, and that cancels them out. On the floor, near the floor, there's another pedal here, a small pedal. If I press that pedal, then I can release my wheel and make any adjustments for up and down, to tilt the wheel while I'm driving or to get out of the seat. It also telescopes the wheel in, out, and then once you release the pedal, it stays in that position. On the steering wheel itself, there's 3 clusters. These 3 clusters give you fingertip control for the wiper wash, wiper on and intermittent, high and low. If we're done with the wipers, we just press the off button, or we can make telephone calls here through our radio core. if we have our phone on connected to Bluetooth or USB. If we're going to use the intermittent function, however long you take after you press and turn it on to press it again is how long the intermittent will happen. When I'm done with the wipers, I obviously just turn them off. In the center of the console, you can see that I can select my radio, my source here on the screen for Bluetooth, HDMI, any of my menu selections for my radio. I can just do it with my fingertips here. I don't have to go down here and touch it on the radio panel itself. I can mute the volume here for the speakers, or I can turn the volume up or down, or I can go forward or back on my selection of music. The headlight flash is here. If I need to flash my headlights, I can flash my marker lights here. You can see they flash. The cluster on the right is my home screen menu. I can go back and I can look at any selection I make here. I can then scroll with the arrows up or down. And once I scroll to whichever one I want to make an adjustment to, I click on the OK, and I can see if there are any messages. I can scroll up or down in those settings. When I want to move on to the next setting, I can just click on the home button again, and then I can go up or down. Let's say, for instance, I wanted to see what my tire pressure was, which is your TPMS. Then that's going to display here. If I press OK, then I can see what the inside and outside tires are. Pressures on all of my tires. So this is your menu. You can scroll up and down. Once you get into that particular selection, just press the OK, and then you can make your adjustments to that setting. On the left side of the glass dash, you've got your fuel indicator, your engine temp indicator, your oil pressure indicator, your lane mitigation warning, which is used with the mobile eye that's mounted on the windshield. You've got your air pressure indicators for your front and rear of the coach. You want to make sure that your coach is aired up before you drive or before you run your slide rooms in and out. And this is your DEF indicator, which is showing full at the time. This is the time of day on the far right. This is your RPM. This gives you more data on your trip information, distance to empty. This is our miles per hour. We can change the miles per hour setting to kilometers. Here, if we go into our settings on our glass dash. When we make a selection to our gear shift here on the Allison, we're going to be able to see if we're in reverse, neutral, or drive. We're in neutral now. It's showing neutral. Our collision mitigation system will come on and display once we're in gear and in motion. And of course, this is our park indicator here. If our parking brake is set, we're always going to see the P. If it's released, the P won't be showing. We're in park now. One thing that we see on the right side of the cluster here is the effort minus or plus. You can see it moving of the power steering. The comfort steer is what it's called. I can change those settings to easier or more firm for the steering wheel motion, whichever I like. And then the one just below that is for my pedals. If I want to bring my pedals towards me, push the lever towards me. If I want to make the pedals further away, then I push that away from me and the pedals will go further away from my seat. So moving over here to the radio and the cameras, you can see they're on right now. This is how it would look if they were off. You'll just see the splash screen. To turn it on, just press and release. Takes a second for it to come on. So on the left side here are your radio core selections, and you can see those with the menu. On the right side here is your camera. So on the menu, you can see here there's navigation and camera. So if I ever want to just make selections for my camera, I can just hit the camera button here, and you can see I can select any one of these views, front, rear, or any one of the sides. In addition to the one in the rear, there's a further expanded view or closer up view, but the one in the center is the one that you would typically leave it on for driving. So just beside the trailer cam view, you've got your 360-degree cameras on both sides, or all four cameras. If you had your trailer hooked up, then you could have these two selections, which we don't have right now. And then, of course, these are your other two selections. And the bottom one is the 360-degree view all the way around your coach, with all the cameras showing a complete picture of what's surrounding your coach. Going back to the menu, you can select any one of these in the menu: Sirius, Bluetooth, HDMI, auxiliary, our setup Mobileye, which is for our lane mitigation. Our navigation is also here, so if you wanted a shortcut to your navigation, you don't have to go through the menu. You can just hit it here. Whenever you select navigation, you'll have to click on accept. And once you do that, then you'll be able to go in and choose a route, multi-point route. If I choose a new route, I'll be able to enter the address that I want to go to, or a zip code and the street, and then that will display my trip. Bluetooth gives me the option of connecting my phone or iPod or other devices to my radio core. For music, for instance, I can press my phone and then I can pair a device that I'd like to go with the radio for music or for making telephone calls with this button up here. There is obviously the camera control here, but there's also that camera control here. So the shortcut to get to the cameras is always right here. But if you're in the menu and you want to go to the camera control, then you just do it here and you're at the same place. The Mobileye gives you lane change warnings when you're traveling. You have to be in gear for this to work. The Mobileye is mounted on the front of the coach, and we'll show you that in another section of this video. And of course, you have your setup screen, and this is where you would go to set your any of your settings up: auto connects, auto volumes. Okay, looking at the selection of controls just below the radio and camera, you've got your house to chassis battery boost. This is a button that you might need to use if either set of your batteries is low. Let's say, for instance, our chassis batteries were low and we couldn't start our engine. We could press this button down and hold it for 60 seconds. That will boost the house batteries into the chassis batteries and help you start your engine. Same with chassis to house. You can boost the house batteries with the chassis by holding it the opposite way. You can hear the fans in the front here are on, but we can switch to off or low. That's the heat coming down below here for the cab. So if you have your ITR Oasis turned on, you can turn this front fan on, high or low, and that will give you heat in the cockpit area of the coach. In addition to that heat, there's overhead fans that you could use to circulate the air around the windshield area. The overhead fans switch is on or off here, but you also can select high, medium, or low fan speeds for the overhead fans. Those are used a lot of times in conjunction with anytime you need to defrost the coach. If you're having this knob selecting over for defrost, you'll often turn your overhead fans on to help that defrost process. There are this is a docking light switch here, on and off, courtesy lights switch on and off, and our generator on-off button. If we press and hold the generator towards the gen start side, it preheats and starts. Once it starts, the flashing light goes out, meaning that your generator engine's running. When we're done with the generator and we want to turn it off, we just press and hold that down, and that turns it off. To unlock the entrance door, lock and unlock is here. We have our visor and shade controls for the cockpit area here. This is our visor. You can hear it going up and down. On our driver window, we have another visor here for the front windshield. This is our shade for the front windshield, and our visor on the passenger side. For the shade or the visor on the front windshield, if the key is turned on, they'll only come down halfway. And if they're down all the way, you'll only be able to move them up. That's a safety feature that Newmar builds in so that you can't lower the shade more than halfway while you're driving. So these are your HVAC controls just for the cockpit area. In order for these to turn on initially, you have to set it to at least a number 1 or 2, or any one of the fan settings. Then you can turn your air conditioning on with the snowflake button, recirculation or non-recirculation button with the arrows that rotate here, and then of course your warm and cool selections, along with which direction you want that air to be pointed to. This is defrost all the way to the right, and any one of the mix selectors on the other ones. Here in your overhead, you can open it, and we'll take a look at your controls here. On the top shelf, you've got your Starlink receiver, your Wi-Fi Ranger router. You've got additional 120 volt outlet plugs. On the left side here at the bottom, you've got a solar prep. Just below that, you've got your Victron panel. The Victron panel is a touch panel. To access the menu, just press the screen. Once you touch the screen, it wakes it up, and then you'll see your options for pages and menu here. So then you can go into the menu, and you can see that all the devices are listed here. Starting at the top, you've got your inverter number 1, inverter number 2, you've got your Lithionics battery, and you've got notifications here or settings. So you can select any one of those and it'll go to those sections. If you go to settings, same thing. It goes to the firmware settings, date and time, remote console, system setup, or general. To get back, just hit the back arrow. And to look at the menu again, let's say you wanted to look at inverter number 1, you know, what it's doing. You can see here that it's in the state of bulk charge. You've got input current, DC voltage, and states of charge. Let's go to our back arrow here. So that's how you select and go into your device list. And then go back if you want to see your pages again. This tells you what your grid is doing. It shows the face of the inverter. It shows the on-off switch lighting icons and the LEDs that are on. The arrows show here that it is working, and you've got your AC loads here. Just beside that, you've got your wind guard over the air antenna. When this is turned on, you'll see the LED is lit up. You can press the search to find more channels. Right now it's found 4. If we turn it off, then we'll be able to receive cable in the coach. If this is turned on, like it is now, it goes through an automatic search for over-the-air channels. Now we're inside a building, so it's not going to find more than a few. But you have to have this turned off if you're going to watch cable TV. We'll talk about a little bit more about that later. So this is your Girard awning controller. It controls the front and rear patio awnings on the passenger side. To select both of the patio awnings, leave it on 0. And now you can control both at the same time just by pressing the out button here. You can see the little icons showing it's operating. Stop, and then back in. If you want to just control the front awning only, go to channel 1. And if you want to control the rear awning, just go to channel 2. To have both awnings operate at the same time, just leave it on 0. We have our slide out control here. Just be sure that both the driver and passenger seat are in the forward position before you activate these either driver side or passenger side slide outs. This is in or up, and then out is extend here and here. You have your exterior LEDs here, your entrance step on off. What that means for the entrance step is when the door opens, the entrance step goes out. When you close the door, the entrance step comes in. So if you want to make sure that the step just stays out all the time, turn that on, and it overrides the operation of the door, making the step go in and out. If you want the step to go in and out with the door, just leave it off. This is your Wi-Fi router, which is your Wi-Fi Ranger router here. And there is a empty space here if you have a satellite system that you connect or hook up. On the bottom row here, you've got some optional equipment, driver side window awnings here, passenger and driver. You have your security lights on and off. You have your these 4 are your cockpit privacy shades. So if you want to run them up or down, just press up. They go up and down. You have one for the door and one for the passenger side here. The last button that you see here It's illuminated blue. That means that it's turned on. What is it? It's a BMS, or a battery management system. It gives you battery power. So if we press that and the blue light goes off, your house batteries won't be giving power inside your house. So we want to leave it on when we're using the coach. But if it goes off by itself, that means that you're down to your last 10% of power in the coach. When that happens, you want to make sure either to plug your coach in or turn your generator on, and then it will give a charge to your house batteries. They're lithium batteries, so the BMS automatically turns the power off that's coming out of the batteries so that you don't go down below that 10%. If you fall below the 10%, you want to make sure to charge those batteries up either with the generator or plug your coach in to shore power. Just above the driver's seat, you have additional space in the overhead cabinets. You have your front TV, corner cabinet here. Just above the passenger seat, you have your two Girard patio awning controls. These controllers receive the signal from either the remote or this overhead control. You can also use the touch buttons on the side to control that patio awning in, out, or stop just by pressing these three buttons: extend, stop, retract, for both, for the rear and for the front. If the LED lights are not on, that means that either they're not plugged in here, you can see it go out when I unplugged it, or you may not have your inverter turned on, or you're not plugged into shore power. So if you want to operate your Girard awnings, they have to have 120 volt power. So either your inverter is going to need to be turned on, and or you need to be plugged into shore power or generator on. And these are the controls for the awnings, dry contacts, and for your shades. As you step into your coach, you'll notice a switch on the right-hand side. This switch turns all of the lights off. If you're exiting, it also turns the overhead lights on. So just with the press up, turns the ceiling lights on, but it will turn all the lights off in the coach when you're exiting. So if you just press that down, then all of the lights will go off in the coach. As you come in, the first step here on your left, beside the passenger seat, you've got your safety equipment here. You've got your fire extinguisher. There's a quick release here. So if you need to use the fire extinguisher, just press the quick release strap. That'll release it, and then you can just pull it out and use it. On the side here, you'll notice a red light is illuminated. This is your battery disconnect. If this light is illuminated, your battery disconnect is turned on and you have batteries powering up your coach. If you press this, that light will go out and you lose all the power in your coach in the inside. So that's your house battery disconnect. Just beside that, you'll see there's a icon here for your baggage doors. So lock and unlock. You can press that to lock and unlock your baggage doors. Just above that is a small storage compartment and a charger port. Above that, you've got your cup holder. You've got your telephone charger. Just lay your phone there. That will charge your phone. You've got your buddy screen here. This screen is a mirror image of what you'll see on the front. And you can power it off here, and you can select the same exact type screen. You can go through and make your radio adjustments. and change the screen settings here. Just below that, you've got your patio exterior light. You've got your visor control here for your shade. Step cover, I'm going to come up to the top step and we're going to operate the step cover. What that does is it makes so that you can stand in this area when the coach is being used and you're not using the steps. There's a cover that comes out to make the floor level. So if I press that step cover switch, the floor extends and comes up. And now I can walk in the coach without worrying about the steps here. So it's a nice convenience, so you don't have any issue with tripping at night. When you're ready to exit the coach again, just press the step cover switch down. Step will go down and retract. Just beside that switch is your map light, your overhead map light. So just above the passenger seat, you have a smoke detector. You can take it off just by turning it counterclockwise and drop it down. It does have a warning label on it. This is the battery compartment area if you need to change the battery. This is the test button. If you press that, you're going to get a tone. That means that it has power and it's functional. If you don't hear the warning tone when you press that button to test, that means you'll need to change the battery on the side here. So you just press, open it up, take the 9-volt battery out, slip a new one in, and then close the door. And then you'll have to put it back up and rotate clockwise. To control the seat, this is a power seat, so it has 12-volt motors in it, and we can tilt it. We can make any adjustments. There is an extension that comes out here for your footrest. If you look right here in the front, you can move the entire seat forward or reverse, or the whole seat you can tilt back or forward. And then these are for your front footrest. You can see that footrest comes out, retract. This is your lumbar, so you can't really see that, but you can hear it and you can feel it. So that's your lumbar support. And this one is for the seat back, tilt forward or back. And the last switch is for your heat. Up is warmest and down is just the first setting for warm, and in the middle is off. So there's no heat if you have the switch in the center, or 0. On the opposite side of the seat, there's a release mechanism, so you can turn this so that it faces the inside. So if you flip that lever and you can rotate the seat, you want to make sure your armrest is out of the way and that the seat is tilted forward so you don't hit the side. You can rotate the seat all the way around. And you'll notice beside the release, which unlocked the seat so we could rotate it, there's another switch. That switch is for the headrest. So if you wanted the headrest to move up, just press the up arrow to where you like, and then when you're finished, or if you want it down a little bit, just press down. The armrests are adjustable. Now you'll notice that it stops right there. If you wanted it to stop in a different position, there's a small flap here. Just reach in and then press up. The switch will make a different adjustment. So you can adjust it there, there, or all the way up. So if I hold it up again, I can go all the way down to there, or just flip them up to get them out of the way. This is your safety belt. Be sure and use that when you're going to be driving down the highway or in town. To move the seat back around, just turn it and it'll lock back into place. So now you're locked back in so that you're ready for travel. So as we move over into the entertainment and dining area, as you'll notice here, there's a small cup. That's the sensor for the front zone for the HVAC system. Above that is a radio speaker. As you come over here, you'll notice we have some overhead cabinet space here. Your Bose speaker, more cabinet space here, and your TV lift. So we'll turn that on so you can see that come up. So in that lift, when it's all the way up then and fully extended, it will come to a stop automatically. Just beside the TV, we've got our touch panel control here. So we can control our lighting. If we go to the home screen, we can control our fans, shades, our TV lift, climate control, floor heat, our power center. We can view our tanks and the exterior controls of the coach, all from this panel. Here it mirrors what the large 10-inch panel in the hallway does, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. This is the TV remote control. We'll turn the TV on and off, and you can go through and set your TV up. And what I mean by setting your TV up is you have to scan for the channels that you want to receive. You have to do a scan for over-the-air channels. And if you're not going to be watching over-the-air TV, you have to turn the wind guard receiver that's in the front overhead off to watch cable. So after you do that, you'll still have to use this remote and scan for the cable channels. So to turn it on, just press the button on the top. The red button will turn the TV on. So with our television turned on, we'll use our remote control to go to the home screen, press the home button in the center. That gets to this screen. And then this icon here is our selection for menu. So just toggle over to the left here and go to settings. So you'd have to scroll down to settings, then press the center button here, and now scroll over to all settings. And what we're going to do is we're going to scan for channels. If we scroll down here to broadcasting, then we select that. Press the center button again, and we go through auto program to find the channels. So press auto program, and we want to press the start to auto program. We have to have our over-the-air wind guard turned on, and once that's on, then we're going to scan for air channels, yes, and it'll go through the scan and it'll show us how many channels it found. "39 channels." So we can either scan again, or we can go to our different settings or just close. You'll have to scan the same way with the Wine guard antenna off if you want to watch the cable channels. So if you want to scan for cable, turn the over-the-air antenna off and then scan again for your cable channels if you have part cable available and want to watch cable. Now we should be able to connect with a channel here. Yes. To go back to the home screen and scan for cable, scroll left, back to settings, to the right, all settings, broadcasting, auto program, and this time we're plugged into cable, we've turned our over-the-air wine guard off, and now we can scan for the cable channels. Obviously, since we are not plugged into cable, we won't pick up any, but that's how you would scan for the cable. And you'll have to scan for channels for each TV location, whether it's out here or in the bedroom. So here at the dining room table, if you need more space, there are additional table leaves that you can add in the center as you pull the table out. There are two magnets here at the front that hold the table in. So if you grab the table, you're pulling against those magnets a little bit, give it a full firm pull. Now it will extend. If you're just going to add one leaf, you know, that pulling it out there is far enough. Then you can take the leaf and these will line up with the steel tabs. Just press and they lock into place. Then you can close your table. Now if you're going to add another leaf, which is in the bedroom, you're going to have to pull it out further, but then there's going to be more weight here at the end. So Newmar adds a leg to hold that extra weight. If you pull it all the way out, just grab a hold of that leg, pull it down, and that leg will then rest on the floor and support the extra weight. So that when you add your second leaf, you can add the chairs, and you'll add your chairs here on both sides. When you're finished, you can remove the leaves and the chairs just by pulling it out. Now you'll have to lift this slightly, and there's a magnet that holds this extra support leg. So just flip that up. Now the magnet grabs a hold of it. Now you just slide the table back in where it was. And you need to have it in this position for travel. For the seating, there's extra storage space on both sides. There's a pull-out drawer. Just grab a hold at the bottom and pull out. And you have extra storage space here. To close, just push and you can hear it click, and that locks it back in place. So as we move over into the kitchen area, we have our Whirlpool refrigerator. You'll notice here that the power is on, but the cooling is off. You can see the words cooling off. And to turn the refrigerator on, you'll need to press the left freezer temp and the right fridge temp at the same time and hold that for a couple of seconds, and then it'll turn on. Now you can make your adjustments to the refrigerator temperature here: colder, coldest, or less cool. So the fewer snowflakes you see, then the warmer it is. Freezer temp here, the more snowflakes you see, the colder the freezer will be. The filter icon just lets you know when you need to change the interior filter. Fast cool here. There's a light here in the cup dispenser area for cold water. You'll notice here at the front, in the center of all three doors, is a lock. This is a travel lock that Newmar adds to the refrigerator so that if the lock is engaged, the doors will not open. None of the doors open. So you have to have that to the right. Now you can open the doors. So if you're going to travel, leave it in the left or lock position. Left is lock, right is open. You'll notice as we open the refrigerator, we have a filter. This comes with the refrigerator new. The water filter filters all the water that's coming in to the door dispenser. So to get to that filter, just pull on the bottom and that opens up. Now you can take your filter and insert it. You can notice the arrows are up, so you just push that in there and then push it all the way in and it locks. Once that's all the way inserted, then you can put the little door back down. It locks into place. You'll notice you have on the back there access for the fresh air filter. That air circulates through your filter here. They also provide an additional fresh filter that you insert in here if you like. In the freezer compartment, you've got your tray for the ice cubes. The ice maker is up and to the left. You can't really see it too well, but it has a bail arm. If that bail arm is pushed to the up position, it won't make ice. So if your ice maker is not making ice, you want to make sure to reach back and push the bail arm down. Now it will make ice. When you're finished in the freezer, just close the door, the light will go out. And remember, left is lock for all door locks. So when you're ready to turn the refrigerator off, you want to store the coach, you can turn the light off and on here. That's your fast cool, but to turn the refrigerator off is the same as turning it on. You press the freezer temp and the fridge temp at the same time. Press and hold for a couple seconds. Now your refrigerator's off. Just above the refrigerator is an additional storage cabinet here. In the overhead ceiling panels throughout the coach, these panels allow air to go into the air conditioning system and heat pump and exit out. And that heats the coach or cools the coach. They go through a filter, and those filters are accessible through this panel. So we got to grab the panel on the passenger side and just pull down. And there's magnets here that hold that up. So those release. Now you'll see the filters here on the passenger side, and the exit air comes down through to either cool or warm the coach here. These filters need to be pulled down. The louver can be turned, but it just needs to be grabbed, and you need to pull it down and remove it. Once that's out, take the filter off, clean the filter, wash with soapy warm water and rinse it, let it air dry, put it back on, and then reinsert. And you'll need to do that to each panel section throughout the coach and keep those filters clean, especially if you live in the coach full time. You'll need to do that weekly, most likely. When you're finished with the panel, just lift and the magnets will grab a hold and keep it in place. So as we move over into the living room area, we've got our theater seating. Just above that, we've got more overhead storage here and the audio visual cabinet here. where you'll see your satellite connections. They're labeled, this one's your Blu-ray, and this is your satellite connection, and 120 volt outlets. So you can put your receivers in here for either your Blu-ray or your satellite and plug them in there. The HDMI cords are connected to the TV that's on the dinette side with the lift. Our theater seating is controlled here at each cup holder for each individual chair. So as you sit in the chair, you press the button on the left and you'll see the chair icon, and that will extend and tilt the seat back. And to retract it is the button just to the side or the center of that one to retract. There is a lighting switch here for the cup holder. And at the very front, there's a charger port. You can plug a USB in there to charge your accessories. Just behind that, there is a storage compartment. If you lift this up, there is additional storage down here with the sliding tray. So you can take the tray and you can move it down or out to use the space down there, and then you can just put this tray back or just slide it back and put your storage in there and then close. To the left of this theater seating, you've got your touch panel. This touch panel, it wakes up when you press it. It's got all of the icons that the main 10-inch panel has in the hallway. So you can basically control everything sitting here at the entertainment seating that you can in the hallway. So when you wake the screen up, you're going to see you have your lighting, your vent fans, your shade, your TV lifts. On the left and on the right, you've got your climate control, which is your HVAC system and heating. You've got your floor heat. You've got your power. Now the power, that's going to be it's going to be all of your power systems. You've got your solar generator. You can turn your generators on. You can turn your inverters on and off. And it also shows your charging for your batteries. Going back to the home screen, below the power settings, you've got your tanks, and then below that is your exterior. So we'll just start at the top left, and we'll go through each one of these icons briefly. Keeping in thought is when you turn one of the functions on, you'll see a blue line that goes on the bottom of that icon, and the blue line means that it's turned on. So we'll go to lighting. So to turn the kitchen lights or ceiling lights on and off, you can either use the slider, which is on the right, or you can just press kitchen on or off here. Kitchen on, kitchen off, ceiling on, ceiling off. Or you can just use the slider and adjust how bright you'd like it. You can scroll to the bedroom and turn the bedroom lights on and off, courtesy or accent. To go back to the home screen, just press home, and now you can go to the next function. Let's say you want to turn the vent fans on, just press the vent fans. Now you can choose the room, kitchen, half bath, or bathroom, and you can select high, medium, or low, and the fan will come on in that room. If it's raining or there's moisture and the fan will not turn on, but you want to override the rain sensor on that fan, the rain sensor override is at the bottom of the switch here, and you just press the rain override, and that will allow the fan to come on whether it's raining or the sensor has a little bit of moisture on it. To turn the rain overrides off, just press it again. You'll notice the blue line will go out and the rain override is off. Going back to the home screen, the shades, we can do the same way. Living room shades, kitchen or bedroom. You'll notice they say day or night, aft, and it gives you kitchen or all coach day. So you can choose the room you like, and then you would press either the back day or the back night, because there's two separate shades for each window. Going back to the home screen, so the icon on the upper right side is for the climate. That's your HVAC system. So if you press that, you'll be able to go in and select either the living room or bedroom. And then the temperature settings are the arrows beside the temperature readout of 72 degrees currently. You can just adjust those up or down. We're adjusting the bedroom now. You can see the blue line under the bedroom. If we want to adjust the living room, just press the living room. We can adjust that. Or if you want the bedroom and the living room to be synced all together and just adjust the temperature singularly, then just press all zone sync right here. And you'll notice the words pop up, all zone sync. And that way you just adjust the temperature once for all the areas in the coach, or all the zones in the coach are synced together, and then they all work together. You'll notice in the bottom right, there's the word Oasis. The Oasis is for the heating side. You can go and press Oasis here. Now we have another screen that comes up for the Oasis, turning it on and off. There's two ways to generate heat with the Oasis, either elements, those are on the right, or the diesel burner on the left. So in the wintertime, you want to make sure to use the burner, or if you're taking a long hot shower, you'd want to use the burner. Typically, the elements will keep up with most of the other hot water needs or heating needs. Going back to the climate, just press the back arrow. You'll notice several other selections at the bottom are the setup, ECO. ECO is just for economy. If you're leaving the coach, you can press the ECO and it will allow the temperature to fluctuate a little bit lower or higher than what you have originally set, just to save on the power that you're using in the coach. Or you can press hold to do the same thing and hold that temperature. If we go back to the home screen, we'll see that the next icon down on the right is your floor heat. So if we press that, our floor heat gives us front of the coach, middle of the coach, or rear. And you'll notice the settings are high, medium, or low. You don't get to select an actual temperature. It's just a range of setting, either at the highest setting, medium, or low. Going back to the home screen, below the floor heat, you've got your power settings. This controls the power in your coach. The power in your coach is either going to be what you see coming in on leg 1 or 2. It will be whether the solar is set up and working, or if your generator's turned on. That's for your AC power. Below the AC power settings, you've got your DC power, which is your batteries. Your chargers are on the left. It shows your batteries on the right, and it shows the voltages that are currently in those batteries. Our voltage right now is 13.6, and our amperage is 216. To go back then to the home screen and go to our tanks, just press our tank switch. We can see all of our tanks are empty. Fresh tank on the left, on the right is the gray, and on the bottom is our black. We can From this screen, we can turn on our water pump on the bottom left, our autofill in the center, or top off. And again, whenever you turn one of those on, a small blue line will light up just below the word, and that means that function is on. In this case, the water pump is turned on. If I want to turn the water pump off, press it again, the blue line disappears. That means the water pump is off. Going back to the last icon on the right is the exterior of the coach. You'll notice we have the selections of either our awnings or exterior lights or our door locks. Just below that, we have our selection of either cargo, entry door, or master. So if we want to lock our cargo compartments, we press that one. Entry door is this one, and our master is all of them at the same time. Exterior lights or awnings, we can control those here as well. If you're going to control the awnings, it's a good idea to have someone outside to make sure that if you're opening the awnings, they are clear of anything that they might open into, or even closing them to make sure there's nothing in the way of them being closed. Back to the home screen. If the home screen is too bright, you can dim it down a little bit by pressing the icon on the upper right corner, and that's your dimmer, or completely dimmed out, and press it again just to wake it back up. On the bottom right, it shows the time and the temperature. And that concludes our home screen and the functions that we can use on our touch panel. So here in the hallway of your coach, we have your 10-inch touch panel for your control of all of the home climate, shades, fans, floor heat, power, exterior, and lights. The screen has a dimming function here at the top right and a Bluetooth connectivity so that you can actually connect your smartphone or iPad via that Bluetooth connection, and then you can use your phone or your iPad or smart device and control your coach with the same type of controls that this screen does. So as long as you're connected with the Bluetooth, you can actually do everything that this panel does. So let's go to our home screen, starting at the left and the bottom, and we'll just go over this briefly for each of the selections you can make. From the home screen, you'll notice in the very center of the screen, you've got all zones are synced together at one temperature. So we can adjust the temperature in the coach just by pressing here for temperature up or temperature down. And we can select the upper left or left side here. We can look at our tanks, water pump, and each time that we press a selection for those icons, you'll notice there's a blue line that appears underneath. That means that it's turned on. The cargo, entry, master locks, these are all door locks here on the right hand side. And just above that are your lighting and shade controls. At our home screen, we can make some basic selections on our climate, which is in the center, or on the right, we can adjust our lighting or shades. But to do more of an individual setting, we would choose an icon on the bottom here, on the bottom row, and we can go into those rooms or climates individually. The home screen is just for making those quick adjustments and looking at our tanks and or our batteries. Shows our house and chassis battery state of charge for our house because they're lithium batteries, and our chassis battery voltage. So starting at the bottom left, just beside the home screen, which we're on now, is we can go to climate. And you'll notice that the icon in the center appears the same. It looks the same, but it shows the temperature. And now we can go into each one of those rooms, living room, bathroom, or bedroom, and we can change the setting individually. Or if we leave all zones synced, then we can make the temperature adjustment here up or down, and all of the rooms will be at close to the same temperature. You'll notice on the far left, there is an icon for setup. So we can go into a more detailed setup for our climate. Enable climate here. You'll notice in the center, enable AGS. So if we enable our AGS, which is our automatic generator starter, that way if we have our temperature set for our air conditioner, we'll be able, our temperature will maintain if we're not plugged in because the generator will come on. But you have to enable the generator if you want your temperature to be maintained, let's say for air conditioning in the coach. Just to the right of that, you have your dual heat. And we have, if we go back to that climate screen, you'll notice on the right-hand side, we have our Oasis. The Oasis is our hydronic heat for water and air heat. You have to have the Oasis burner turned on. So if you press that, you'll notice the blue line comes on. That means the burner is turned on. And then it gives you a status on the right. Burner is active. In addition to the heat from the burner, you can select the element 1 and or 1 and 2 just below that. Just by pressing them, you'll see the blue icon come on or off as I press it. And on the right hand side of those, it gives you more information. That tells you if the element is shed. So if there's not enough power to run the element, for instance, you're on a cord that's not a 50 amp, you may notice it could say shed. Just below that, you've got your half bath heater. Inside the half bath, there's a blower for heat. We can turn that on and off as well. Moving to the shades, you've got your selection of room, living room, kitchen, bedroom, bath, or half bath, and then the day or night or all coach day and all coach night shades. Just beside that, you've got your fans. We can control the fans in each room, kitchen, bathroom, or half bath just by turning it on, and high, medium, low for each fan. If there's moisture in the air that might stop the fan from opening and coming on, you can press the rain override switch. If the rain override is on each one. So if you want the fan to come on and the lid to open, and it might be a real slight mist or rain outside, you can do that just by overriding the rain switch. Just to the right of that, we have our floor heat, front, middle, or rear. We can turn our power on first. Once we turn our power on, we show the icon that it's turned on, and then we can select low, medium, or high for each one of those areas. It doesn't set a temperature, but it gives you heat in a range of those settings. Our power icon is showing our power systems for alternating current or AC power on the left. And then on the right side, you've got your solar and generator. On the left side, you've got more detailed information on each leg coming in for 120 volt. And if our inverters are turned on, inverter 1 and 2, you'll have the blue icon that's lit up underneath. You want to leave your inverters turned on in case you lose shore power or generator. That way the food in your refrigerator will stay cool. On the right side, you've got your charger settings, 1 and 2. You want to leave your chargers on so that your batteries will be maintaining a good charge. The battery states of charge are on the very far right. The chassis voltage is given, and the house batteries, you don't get a voltage, you get a state of charge, and they're at 76%. The next icon over is Systems. If you press that, you're going to see more detailed information coming in on leg 1 and leg 2 of your shore cord. It gives you the volts that are being supplied along with the amperages that are available. You'll notice that there is a blue line under everything that is operational or functional. If the blue line disappears, that means that that particular device, let's say for instance the AC, which is your rooftop air conditioner, if that blue line goes out and it's just a small white line, that means that it's been shed or it will not operate because there's not enough power. And you would typically see that when you're on a cord that's not a 50 amp supply cord, or if you're not running your generator. The next selection over is solar. If you have solar panels up on your roof, you're going to see the status and the voltages. The next one over is your generator. You can start your generator or stop your generator, and it gives you the demands that are being used. You can go into setup here, and if you need to set up your quiet time, you can do that for quiet time and the duration of hours. The chassis state of charge is showing on this screen as well. Our next screen over is the exterior. Our awnings. In the middle is your exterior lights and your door locks. Just by pressing any one of the awnings, you're going to open or close it. If you're going to operate your awnings, you should have someone outside to make sure that the awning is not going to open into something or close something, and you don't want something to be in the way of it. Obviously, the exterior lights on off, or you can adjust the setting in the bar in the center. The door locks are either on or off. The next icon over is your lighting. It gives you individual selection in each room, turning the lights on and off, or in the center, you can dim the lights with the bar in the center. Going into the bathroom, half bath, bedroom, or kitchen, you can go all on, all off, or just bathroom on, bathroom off. There is an aquamizer setting here in the lighting control. The aquamizer will go into more detail, and that's to save your fresh water. It actually recycles the water back into the fresh tank until it gets warm, and then you'll take your shower after that. The aquamizer is an indicator light, and we'll talk more about that in detail when we get back to the shower. You'll notice here near the hallway is your InterVac door open. So you can sweep debris here, just open and you can brush it underneath. The attachments are connected here. Just lift the door open, remove the tag, and plug your hose in here. That goes down to the vac. With your coach, you have your InterVac accessory bag, and inside the bag are all the accessories, so you can attach that at this location here. And inside you'll find your hose end and your handle where you attach your accessories. So to get started, you just plug it in, and then all you need to do to turn it on and off is just press this button here. If you need help or instructions on how to change the battery in here or how to operate the device, just scan the QR code and you'll get more information online how to use the complete system. If you're going to use the InterVac manually, you can sweep any material here and then just lift this up and you can sweep it in here. When you're done, you just pull the hose out and store it away, but be careful that when you store the hose back in the bag that you don't leave something that might press up against here that would turn it on. So as we move over into the kitchen area, right here at the sink, we've got our overhead cabinets. It has 2 pull-out drawers. There's an extra box here with the Starlink router, but you really won't need this because we're using the router that's from the Wi-Fi Ranger, but this is a spare since you have Starlink on the roof. You'll notice on the top left is your cord that goes over to the microwave. So if you need to unplug the microwave or take it out, that's where you need to unplug it right there. We have our sink covers. The sink covers can be removed and stored down here. Just take the covers off and then you can slide them back. You can see the little slots that they go into for storage. And then we have our telescoping sink here. And of course, on, off, hot, and cold. We have a pull-out drawer here for the trash receptacle. Small storage drawer here. You'll see here the Samsung microwave. The microwave has a handle here on the right, so you just put your hand in here, pull to open and close. There is a secondary lock that Newmar installs here. It's actually a latch, not a lock, but it helps keep the door closed during transit or travel. So you will have to add a little bit of extra push to close that. Our cooktop is here. It's a true induction. The covers can be flipped over, and there's a cutting board on the back side of each one. So we can use those as a cutting board. Our true induction cooktop needs to have pans that are magnetic or they won't turn on. To turn it on, initially you have to press the on-off. Once that's on, you can set your pan in place and then make your adjustment for the heat. If you don't put anything on, it automatically turns off. This can be removed and unplugged to take outside and use. Just grab a hold on each side, left and right, lift up, and take out. After you unplug, plug it back in when you return, and just set it down in place. Before you put the covers back on, you want to make sure that it's cooled down. We have another storage drawer here. Initially, when you get your coach, you're going to find your extra set of keys, your remotes for the TV, the Bose, the bed, and the accessories, paint, wrenches for our whole house filter, So, and your awning remote, and your tools. You've got your dishwasher. Your dishwasher is currently locked. So to open the dishwasher on a Fisher Paykel, you turn it on and it will open. The settings are all here on the front. So this icon will lock the controls from operating in wash cycles. But if you want to lock the door again, you have to unlock the controls before you power down. Once the icon disappears, now you can power it down by pressing the on/off, and you can hear the door lock. So now the door is locked for travel. You want to make sure that the door is locked for travel, which means you need to power it down. Just to the left of that are 3 additional storage drawers. And beside that, we have our pantry. These drawers are push to open, and they are adjustable. If you need to adjust the drawer up or down, you just push open, and then to take the drawer out, press down on this side and up on the other side, and then you can remove the drawer and adjust the main sliding mechanism. On the bottom, there's pull-out dividers. You can take the divider and move them over. Make your adjustment here on your space. There's a magnet that holds the door closed, and a magnetic switch here that turns the light out. So as we move into the hallway here, we have the half bath. The half bath door swings to the right. So just press here and slide to the right to open. To close, the same way, just close, that locks, reopen. As we move into the half bath, on the back wall, there's 2 overhead doors, and behind are the breakers. The breakers on the right are for the 120 volt. The breakers on the left are for the 120 volt that comes through the inverters. So these are called sub panels. This is your main panel. To have power coming in the coach at all, you have to have the main breaker turned on. Then it supplies all the other breakers. If the main's not turned on, you're not going to have any power in the coach. Each of the breakers are labeled on each side. So let's say, for instance, your washer was not working, or your freezer. If any one of these breakers is to the left, or even slightly to the left, it has to be moved all the way to the left and then back to the right to reset it. So if you have an appliance, it's not working, come in here and check. If it's tripped, it may trip all the way to the right, or it may trip slightly to the right. You'll have to move it all the way to the outside and then all the way back to the inside to reset it. The same goes for your inverter 2 and inverter 1. If any one of these breakers is tripped, for instance, if our refrigerator breaker is tripped, that would be down. You'll need to reset it, moving it all the way down and then back to the on position. We'll turn it back on. Same with these 2 floor heat breakers. If the green light's not lit up, you'll need to reset it here. Press the bottom or black button and then the top one, and you'll see the LED come back on, meaning you have power again to the floor heat. Just to the left and lower area here are the 12 volt fuses and mini breakers down here. For each number, we have a label here. So F1 is the TV accessories. F7 is for your security lights. So let's say our security lights aren't working. We'd go to F7 here, pull the fuse. If it's blown, we have spare fuses over here. So grab a fuse that's the same size, which this one is a 20. Take that fuse, put it back in the slot, and check our security lights and make sure they come on. Just to the top left, we have our ATC net. That's our connection to our main panel. If you're going to connect via Wi-Fi, that's the module that connects. These other ones are the modules that connect to our other devices in the coach. Let's say this one is, for instance, this one says the FVC Gen 1A1. And behind that, you'll have one for the HVAC and so forth, shades, etc. Just below that, we have our window. Window is a power shade. So to open that window shade, we'd have to go to shades, press that shade button, and then you'll notice there's a crank here. We can open the window manually to the right and or close it going to the left. This screen can be removed. You'll notice here that the screen can be taken out. There's small clips here. The clips need to be inserted at the bottom and the top. So those little clips need to be in on the sides as well. There's two on the top, two on the bottom and the sides. So you can have fresh air come in if you like, or you can have that closed. On the roof, on the ceiling inside here is your vent fan. If for any reason you needed to open the fan manually, you can do that here. There is a crank up for the dome. As soon as I do that, if I open that, you'll notice the dome is going up. So now I have some air movement here if I need to open that manually. I can close it, moving it all the way to the right. It goes back down and close. If for any reason the fan won't come on, you should check the fuse, which is in the corner, and that's a replaceable fuse. So if that fuse is blown, you'll be able to see a small line. If that line is separated or broke, you'll need to replace that fuse. Insert it and then turn it clockwise to lock it back in place. When you're finished, line up the lock tabs towards the front and back of the coach. And then once you've got those lined up, you want to push up to lock it in place. We have a 120 volt outlet here. That's GFCI protected. We have our medicine cabinet here. Our sink. We have our Dometic control for the toilet flush. You'll notice there are two blue icons and a green one. These need to be lit up to tell you that you have power to make those functions work. You'll be able to add water by pressing the top one and flushing the toilet on the bottom one. You can hear the toilet just flushed. If the tank level light is on, that will either be amber, which is yellow, or red. If it's amber, it's a warning that your tank is getting close to full. When it's completely full, it'll turn red and you won't be able to flush. Just below that, you've got additional storage here and down below the sink here. The panel that controls the functions here in the bathroom and other parts of the coach are right here. It's the same type of panel that we have on the outside. As you enter the bedroom, there's a sliding door here. So the door is in the travel position, which is locked here. If you want to have privacy in the bedroom, we can close that door just by pressing down on the release lever. That unlocks it. Now we can slide the doors over and they will lock when they reach the left-hand side. Now the doors are locked. To store the doors back in the travel position, just press down and push to open. And they will relock back in the travel position. Just to our right, as you enter the bedroom, we have our touch panel. This operates exactly the same as the ones in the half bath in the living room. Above those, we have our slide out switch that controls the slide out here. And we have our awning extend and retract, which is the awning on the outside of this window in the bedroom. We have closet space here. And with each coach, you get your black suitcase, which has all of your warranty, plumbing, heating, air conditioning, exterior electrical and appliance information, warranty registration, owner's operator's guides. So this is an important part of reviewing that information so that you can operate your coach efficiently. Just below that, we have additional drawers. Just below that, we have the audio-visual cabinet for this television, along with our connections for our Blu-ray and our satellite if we have one. And we have another closet for hanging clothes here. And more drawer space down below. As we enter the bedroom, on the ceiling, it's a CO2 detector. To check the function of it, you have to press and hear the tone. That tells you that the battery's good and that the CO2 detector is working. If you don't hear the tone, you want to check the battery. So you just squeeze, pull down, and here's your battery. You can remove the battery just by pulling the tab back and pulling the battery out and replacing it. And then once you replace it, you'll need to retest pressing that to make sure you hear the set of tones. We have another sensor here for this rear zone for the HVAC heating and cooling system. As we move over, we have our overhead cabinets above the bed here. There is an access right here in case you have any cords that you want to plug in. Maybe a CPAP machine, 120 volt outlet, and those cords could then drop down here. We have windows on each end of the slide out. Both sides, these are power shades, so you'd have to run your power shades. We have the nightstand here. Inside the nightstand, there is a 120 volt outlet. In addition to that, on the outlet are charging plugs for USB or USB-C. More storage here and here. On this nightstand on this side, it's the same. We have a 120 volt outlet with both the USB and the USB-C chargers. There is an additional control panel, just like throughout the coach, that if you're laying in bed and you look up, that control panel is here, and you can just press to awaken it, and then you can control all the functions that you controlled either on your 10-inch panel or any of the other smaller panels right here as you're laying in bed. So underneath the bed is more storage. If we lift the bed, the struts hold it up. We've got our table leaves, the 2 extra ones, the 2 extra chairs for the dining area, or if we want to use them outside in the entertainment area. On each side, there is a small opening that these panels can be removed to access the controls underneath the bed. The pump for the air mattress is on the back side here, and additional controls underneath for the bed motor and adjustments. So as we move out of the bedroom into the rear full bath, we have a pocket door. The pocket door locks into place. If we want to unlock it, there's an arrow. You can see here that's pointing down. We have to press that lock to unlock it, and we can close the door and it relocks. Press it again to unlock and open. Once the pocket door gets slid all the way in the travel position, it relocks. So we'll go in the bathroom now. And on the right-hand side, as we enter the bathroom, we have a storage cabinet here. We have an emergency exit door beside that, in case there's an issue where we need to get out of the coach right away. We're in the back of the coach, or maybe we can't get to the front. We can exit out this door here. We have to unlock it first. There are 2 locks. You want to remember that. There's a lock here, that's the deadbolt lock. We have to unlock that. And then just below that is the door handle lock. So we unlock that. So once the door is unlocked, we can grab the handle, pull, push out. Now we can exit out of the coach. Even if the shade were down, we can still exit out. We would have to grab a hold of this panel here, remove it, and there's a ladder, an extension ladder that comes down. So to open the ladder, we want to grab a hold of this Velcro strip, pull it, and then just take the ladder, tilt it out, and let it drop, let it fall. It goes down to the ground. Now we can get out of the coach, out the ladder, just like this. All right, so now you're out of the coach. Let's say you're ready to travel. For whatever reason, you want to put this ladder back up. Let's say that there was not a real emergency, but you're ready to store the ladder again. We can just lift the ladder back up. And the Velcro strip back across. Take our cover panel, put it back on, and we'll close the door. So we're ready to travel again. If we went out the door or we opened the door for any reason, we want to relock it before we travel. And for safety, we want to deadbolt the door here and then lock the door handle here. So now left is lock and right is lock for the handle. So this Dometic toilet is the same as the one in the half bath, and it has the same controller here. When we open these doors, we see our dryer and our washer. The washer-dryer combo is stacked. The dial at the top of the dryer is your temperature settings and timer. There's a notice on the door, on the drawer. There's a notice on the drawer that explains that you need to remove the outside drain cap to the gray tank before you operate the washer. Because you're using a large volume of water when you're doing your wash, you may fill up the gray tank. So that's why we want you to have the gray tank hooked up to the discharge or the sewer and make sure the cap is off and open and that the gate valve is open so that all the water that goes out of the washing machine goes out of the drain and doesn't fill up the gray tank all the way. Because if your gray tank fills up all the way, you're going to have water coming in your shower. Here at the sink, we have our medicine cabinet here with a 120 volt outlet that's GFCI protected. On and off, cold and hot. Drawers here. Storage underneath. Where our P-trap is, you'll notice the lines are blue or red. The blue is the cold, the red is the hot. Drawers here. And you'll notice here I'm standing on top of a cover. This is the engine cover. To access the engine, this cover needs to be removed. Before you remove this cover, there's a panel, a wood panel back here that has to be pulled or taken down. So you grab a hold of this panel on both sides and pull it down like that. Now, once that's off, you'll still need to unplug this cord here because this is the floor heat cord to this panel. Once you unplug that, you'll be able to take these black plugs out, lift them out, and take the screws out of all four, and then take the panel out in that order. Reverse the order to put the panel back in. Just to the left of the sink, we have our extra set of keys for our safe. Refer to your owner's operator's manual. You'll need to set up your own number to access the safe and set up your security code. There's a panel that you can lift out of this area here. And then you have more storage down below. Additional drawer space here, and the louvers for your heat there. As we move in the shower has a door lock here. So to open that door, you've got to have that turned away from the door, down or out this way. You can open the door here to get in the shower. We talked a little bit about the aquamizer. The aquamizer has a light. You can see there's a blue light there. So that means that the aquamizer is turned on. What is the aquamizer? It's a function to save water. It saves your fresh water so that you don't just turn the water on in the shower and it takes a minute or so before it gets hot. All that water is wasted and goes in the gray tank. To save fresh water, turn the aquamizer on. The control panel, we'll show you that in a second. You'll go to the control panel, make sure this light comes on. Once that light comes on, you're going to take this recycling dial and go to recycle over here. Now the water that comes in will recycle through here back to your fresh tank until this turns red. Once that's red, then the water's hot. You'll turn the recycle over to on. When you turn the water on, you'll have nice hot water coming out. When you're done with the shower, you're going to get out and you're going to turn this off. Now we're going to go out and show you where to turn that off. To turn your aquamizer on or off, just go to the home screen and then go to lighting. So go to lighting. So once we go to the lighting screen, we want to go to the bathroom. So here's the bathroom here. Now we're at the bathroom screen. Down to the bottom right is your aquamizer. Pressing it once, you'll see the blue line go on. That means it's on. And the light will be blue until the water turns warm or hot, and then that will turn red. When you get out of the shower is when you want to come over here and turn the aquamizer off. It's good to turn it off because you don't want to leave that light on all the time. Plus, if you're filling your fresh water tank, you don't want that water to be recycling through there, and then or if you're winterizing, you don't want it to be recycling. So always just remember, turn off the aquamizer when you're finished with your shower. So when you're finished with the shower, just turn the light off here. When you press the aquamizer tab, the blue line will go away, and that means that light that's in the aquamizer in the shower will go off. Another key thing that you want to remember is the diverter valve that's just above the aquamizer light in the shower that needs to be turned into the shower position, not into the recycle position when you're filling your tank or winterizing your coach. So we're standing on the front of the coach driver's side, and the front door, the baggage door here, has a switch that opens and closes the gen slide in the front of the coach. So if we open this door and have the ignition key turned on, we'll be able to come over here to the HWH switch and press extend. Make sure there's nothing in the way or anyone standing in front, and this will slide open. It's called a generator slide. So once that's opened, if you're going to be working in behind there, I recommend that you turn the ignition switch off and then close this door, and then you'll be able to access everything on the front here, including the generator. So we're going to go in and turn the ignition switch off quick, and then we're going to come back. Okay, so we've turned off our ignition switch. That way nobody can operate this gen slide while we're behind it. But as we enter the gen slide area, we're just going to take a look at what the controls are here in the front. Starting at the bottom, you've got your windshield wiper solution. If you need to add solution, just take the cap off, add, and then put your cap back on. Here is your filter for your ITR Oasis, your hydronic heating system for your hot water and for your heat in your coach for your air. So every 12 months you need to change this filter. Just turn on, twist off, and replace it along with the regular yearly maintenance for the ITR Oasis. This is your ECM control for your coach. These are your street horns. Below that you have a hot water spigot. The hot water spigot comes from the hot water in the ITR Oasis. So if you want to have hot water here, just open this up, but you have to have the burner or the electric elements on to get hot water here. Otherwise, it's just going to be cold. To winterize this line, you want to drain it. It's at a slight angle, so if we open this, all the water in here will drain out, but still you want to open this because you may have a little water here that you want to drain out. So open this and open this one, drain all the water out. That's going to winterize it, and make sure that the valve that's halfway back is turned off when you do that draining. Looking at the front of this generator slide, you've got your lights. To change a bulb, just twist, remove, reinsert, turn it to the right to lock. These are your turn signals and headlights. These are your air horns. Up front here is your generator. Make sure that your main breaker is turned on here, which is up. If it trips for any reason, it'll be down and you'll have to come out and reset it to have power inside. That has to be turned on or up. To start the generator, we just press and hold that. It has a preheat light and then it'll start. To turn it off, just press stop. If we cycle this, start and stop, the automatic generator starter will be disabled. So if you want your automatic generator starter to be on and you came out here and turned this on manually, you'll have to go back in and reset that on your main panels. Just to the side of that is your Hobbs meter. This tells you how many hours it's been in operation. And just to the right of that, you've got your main panel access for your servicing the generator right here. Of course, there's antifreeze coolant that you add here if you need it. We'll go around the other side. Okay, so we're on the driver's side inside of the generator slide. And if you'll notice here, just above the generator, we have our HVAC box, which controls the heating and cooling in the cockpit area. You won't be able to see it here in the video, but up above there's a sticker or tag that tells you how much refrigerant is used in the system in case it needs a recharge. There's a tag that tells you how much that holds. Just to the left of that, we have the refrigerant filter line dryer, access ports. This is our pressure switch for that system. And you'll see here we have a hydraulic pump for our slide rooms and our jacks and our step. This is the step solenoid here. This system has a fluid tank. The fluid tank is located here. The fluid level should be checked with the slide rooms out and the jacks up. To do that, you just reach in here and twist the cap off. And then you can see the level of the fluid here. If you need to add it, you can add it in that same place and then just replace the cap. If for any reason your pump is not working, there is an additional fuse out here, and that fuse has a cover, and we can check the fuse here. It's a 5 amp. Just to the outside edge here, there's a drain. This drain is for water that accumulates on the roof that comes to this front corner. It drains out of this ductbill here. Now we'll close the generator slide after we turn the ignition switch on. As we're standing here in front of the coach, we'll just point the lights out. Below here we've got our fog lights, running lights, headlights, turn signals, marker lights, and we have a camera in the center. We have our running lights on the top and our Mobileye here. The Mobileye helps us with our lane change warning information that's displayed on our glass dash. And if you're using the adaptive cruise, you want to make sure that this area is not covered with snow or ice. These mirrors are both adjustable. The mirrors have 3 set screws here. They're Allen head. You need to loosen those if you need to move or adjust the mirror. If you need to adjust the arm, then there's a cap on the bottom here. This cap needs to be removed. Then you can take your arm and move it and then set and tighten and put your cap back on here. If you'll notice on the mirror, there's a small yellow light that's illuminated here because I have the ignition switch on and I'm standing right beside this sensor. there's a sensor in the front and back on each side of the coach which tells you there's something in the lane. So if you see the yellow light, this sensor is telling you there's something in your way. You would not want to change the lane at that point. Just above the entrance door is our door awning. Above that are the two patio awnings, and we're going to demonstrate the operation of those really quick. So I'm standing outside the coach with the remote. This is for your Girard awnings, which are your two patio awnings at the top. If we make sure we're in the unlock position, you'll see that it has number 1 or 2. Number 1 is the first awning, number 2 is the second. 0 would be both operating at the same time. So if I want to operate both awnings, I leave it on 0, press out, and they'll both come out at the same time. The light function on the remote will turn the LEDs on. Press it again to turn them off. If I want to stop because I'm getting near something, I can just press the stop, and that stops the awning. If I want to just move one in, I just go to channel 1, for instance, and press in. This is my first awning, channel 1. Let's say I want to leave it right there, press stop. So I can adjust them independently. Each of the awnings has a shake sensor, so if they start to move too much, they will automatically close if it gets too windy. If you're leaving the coach and it's raining, or you know it's going to be windy, I would just close the awnings. But they do have that sensor, and they should close automatically. So we'll turn the lights out on that. We'll go back to number 2, channel 2. We'll turn that light out, and now we'll go to 0. Or we could just do 2, and we could close it. We could go in. That's going to run number 2 in. And then to run number 1 in, we can just change the channel number 1. We can run that in. Or just back to 0 does them both. And they will both stop when they close. With your coach, you have your InterVac accessory bag, and inside the bag are all the accessories, so you can attach that at this location here. So if we open the bag, timeout. So we're looking at the entrance door here. The entrance door obviously opens and closes with the door handle here. It has a deadbolt lock, a door handle lock, and it has the handle lock. So I can lock and unlock the door handle lock, which is this one, from the handle here, just by pressing a series of 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 1. So to lock it, I press just the upper number 1 to lock. You'll hear it lock. So now the baggage doors and the door is locked. So if I don't have my keys, which I do, but let's say I did not, I've left them inside, the code that Newmar they give you when you purchase the coach is 123441. So just press that 441. That unlocks the door. All right. So right now the door and the steps are working together. When I open the door, the steps come out. If I open the door and I want the steps to stay out, I press the step switch in the overhead. So I turn the step switch on. Now when I close the door, the steps won't move. I can go in and out of the coach now and not have to wait for the steps to open or close. Now there are two positions that the door can close. Let's say that someone was taking a nap in the coach and I didn't want to slam the door really hard. I can still close it in the first latch just with the soft close. Now the door is closed, but it's not closed for travel. If I want to have it closed for travel, I want to close it more firmly, and then it's flush with the trim. So there's actually two latches for that door, remember that. So before you travel, you want to make sure that it's in the second latch, and then to do that, you will have to close it firmly. Now, this is soft close, but travel or all the way closed, you want to have it a firm close like that. So you saw how we can lock and unlock the door lock and the baggage doors from here. Just lock here. You can hear the baggage doors and lock, the door lock. If we have our key fob and we don't want to use the handle to lock or unlock, we can do it here. We have our door locks at the top. We have our baggage doors at the bottom. So to unlock this door, we just press here, unlock. To unlock the baggage doors, we just press here. We can lock them from here. Lock, lock. Let's say that our key fob isn't working and our door handle's not working. We can still unlock the coach with the keys. The top lock is the longer one, and the shorter one is the bottom. So we can lock and unlock the deadbolt here, this way, and we can lock and unlock the door handle here. So we can lock and unlock the door handle here. That's unlock this way, and the deadbolt is unlocked that way as well. Now, if we're on the inside of the coach and we want to lock the deadbolt, we can do it inside right here. You can watch the deadbolt move out. That's locking it. Don't want to do that when it's open, because if it closes, it'll shear that off. You want to make sure that's retracted before we close the door. That's the deadbolt lock, and this is the door lock here. We can push that to lock and close the door, and the door will be locked. We can unlock it here, or on the dash, or here on the handle, or here on the key fob. The screen is currently latched to the door. If we want to independently just close the screen, we want some fresh air inside, we can just push that down, and now we can close just the screen door, and it latches. And it can be opened from the inside or the outside just by pressing this down. From the inside, pressing the handle down will press this and unlock it from the inside. And it latches back here when you open it. Once you get your coach and you know what the entrance code is, that's standard on all Newmar coaches. You want to change that to your own code so that you're the only one that can get in and out of your coach. To do that, you'll need to set your own code, same 5-digit number code that you like, that you can remember. There is a reset switch on the left side of the steering column near the bottom, a very small toggle switch that you'll press. Once you do that, you'll come out here. This is going to be giving you a series of tones. You'll enter your new code once, and then again twice, and then you've set up your own code. Write it down so you remember it. One of the things that you want to remember to do, and it's not really obvious here at the front wheel well, is to look inside towards the back. You'll see some lanyards. Those 3 lanyards need to be pulled weekly if you're using the coach weekly, and that will remove the water out of the air system in your coach. So remember to do that each time you travel or weekly when you're using your coach, because you don't want to have water in your air system. So we showed you how to operate your main patio awnings with the Girard remote. To operate the door awning, you'll need to go to your main control panel and go to Awnings, and you'll be able to run the door awning in and out. If the awning is out and you release the parking brake, the awning will go back in automatically. So as we move behind the front wheel, we've got our marker light, docking light, and of course our fuel fill. The door on this side fills the tank the same as the opposite side. So whether you're filling on the driver or passenger side, it goes in the same tank. Just above the window is the window awning that's controlled in the front overhead above the driver's steering wheel, and the slide topper awning, which opens and closes when you operate the slide out in or out. In our first baggage compartment door is our Dometic refrigerator freezer. It is powered here with the 12 volt or 120 volt. So the refrigerator freezer can operate on 12 volt batteries. If you're not plugged in to shore power or your generator's not going, you can still have your food stay cold. Freezers over here, refrigerators over here. There is a QR code you can scan for more information on the freezer, or refer to your owner's operator's manual. And here's the main control panel for temperature setting on either side. The refrigerator can be turned into a freezer or vice versa just by adjusting the temperature. So you can have both sides refrigerated or both sides as a freezer. There is a port here for USB. You can connect this Bluetooth to your iPad, your phone, and you can control it with your other devices. In our next baggage door back, we've got our road vac, InterVac system. We have our slide tray. This is a power tray, so we just press here to open and close. Newmar supplies you with tile. These are spare tile that match the same color tile that you have. They're from the same lot. We have the 2 long screws that are used to close the HWH slide out that's full wall. If you have an emergency where the slide room is not moving, you can use these manually, but you'll have to refer to your operator's manual or go to Noogle to go through that procedure. The vac can be turned on manually here. And you can attach your hose here if you want to sweep on the outside here. The bag is inside. Just open, change the bag when needed. And then to close, just press to close. This door needs to be opened before the second door behind it, or the third door behind it, can be opened. Just press down, open. This is a suicide door. You can see the camera junction box is there for all the cameras in your coach. The sync cylinder for the slide out is here. The slide out controller for the bedroom is there. And you have all of your lighting controls are behind this panel. So to access behind the panel, you would have to remove these screws, and then the cover comes off. There's other controls that we'll go over when we get to the other side. This tray is the same as the one on the right. It has the switch here to open and close. These, of course, are your vacuum accessories. And you want to make sure and close this door before you close this door. Our next door back is our entertainment center. The television and Bose speaker here can be pulled out and adjusted. You just have to grab a hold of the TV and pull out. The magnet will release. Now you can adjust. There's an additional 120 volt USB and USB-C charge plug here. When you're done using the entertainment center TV and Bose speaker, just fold it back and close. The set of keys for each one of these doors has a manual lock, so you can individually lock this or any of the other doors if you like. As we move back, you'll see that the bedroom slide out has its own awning. That's a slide topper awning. Keeps rain and debris off of the slide out on the top. Just above the bathroom window, you have your security light and your side view camera for your 360 degree. We have our marker light, docking light, and blind spot detection for this side of the coach. We have our dual axles. In between that, we have our HWH jack. Our next door back is our DEF. Twist the blue cap off to fill. Just above the tank, the DEF tank, there's an emergency suspension fill that has small black caps that you can remove. If you want to add air to your airbags individually or all of them, you can just take each one off and add air to the system if you needed to. And our last compartment back is our batteries, our battery disconnects, our air dryer, and fuel filter. There is a fuse holder here for our solar panels above, so that can be removed and checked if you have a solar panel charge issue. There are additional fuses underneath this round cap. Just rotate counterclockwise to unlock and remove if you have a issue with any of the operations on the chassis side. The battery disconnects are here. They manually turn the batteries or battery power off to the cockpit just by turning these to the off position and 0. Now I'm going to save the energy that's in these batteries. They will not discharge. If I leave these on for days and days on end, I have a chance of discharging these batteries and the coach would not start. So if you're going to store the coach, turn these both off. When you're ready to travel again, then you want to turn them back on. Air filter dryer, fuel filter, another blind spot detection for this side of the coach. At the back of the coach here, you've got your marker lights at the top, your third brake light here. You've got your hood release here. We're going to open this up now. When you pull the release lever down, it unlocks this, but this will come out towards you. So you want to hold one hand on there while you pull down. The shock absorbers push, those shocks push out. So just be careful when you do that. You've got your final charge extended life antifreeze. You want to make sure that you see that fluid full cold in the glass. If you need oil, check your oil here and then fill your oil there. There's a auxiliary air fill if you need to, and you can run the coach and air it up. To use this fitting for auxiliary air, you would have to get your own hose. There is a coupling fitting if you do get a hose and you need to use that. You've got the coupler right there, and that fits into the auxiliary air supply. Your block heater connection is here. If you want to preheat your engine, you got to have your block heater turned on the panel inside. This has to be plugged in for your block heater to work, and it has to be turned on the inside panel. This is an air indicator gauge for this filter. If this filter is dirty, this gauge, which normally is in the green, will go up into the red, and that means you need to change this filter. So with the engine running, if this yellow line is above the green into the red, this filter needs to be changed. The air filter gets its air from this hose, which goes up the corner of this cap all the way to those louvers. So if those louvers are blocked with debris or leaves or whatever, they need to be cleaned off in order to get air into your engine. This is your Oasis ITR overflow. You can add fluid right here. There is a cold and a hot fluid level. Century antifreeze is the type that Newmar uses. When you're finished accessing this area, just reach up, pull down, and the latch will grab a hold and keep it closed. Just below that, you've got your Voyager connection for your camera, your hitch, your Air Force One air supply, and your Bargman plug. This is our radiator for our engine and for our transmission cooling. This also needs to be free and clean, just like the one in the corner cap. If there's any debris here, we've got to get that area clean. The vent is for the dryer up there. That should be open and clear so the air from the dryer can exit. This is our emergency exit door, which we showed in another part of the video. This is the DEF fill from this side of the coach. It fills the same tank as the one on the opposite side. Between the axles, you've got your HWH jack and your storage compartment for your sewer hose here. You've got your window awning here. That is this is on the bedroom side. Docking light here, marker light, detection, blind spot detection, security light, camera, and this is our wet bay compartment. This is a new coach and it's been winterized. How can I tell? This is the hose that's used in the winterizing process. So if you see this pink or a different color solution in this hose, you can assume it's been winterized. This one has. To do the winterizing process, there's a series of valves here, and the instructions to winterize are right here. So if you're planning on winterizing your coach, follow these instructions, and this is the hose that you'll have to remove the cap on the bottom and put in your winterizing solution. Once you turn your water pump on, the solution will go up, and that'll go in your coach through all your lines and your appliances to winterize. So we won't go in depth in that, but that's what that hose is for, and that's what these valves are for, and the instructions here. Just beside our valves for winterizing is the fresh water filter. The filter has not been installed yet because this is a new coach. But to install the filter, we'd have to loosen these tabs, remove this, drop the filter in, and then close it, put our tabs back to lock it in place. Now, once that's installed, and you want to make sure if you're winterizing that this is not installed, because your winterizing solution goes through here in your coach. You want to make sure that this is out if you're going to winterize. All of the water that's coming in your coach comes through the hose reel on that side. So this hose reel will need to be connected to a water source supply. Once that water hose is connected and turned on, that water will come through, go through this filter and into your coach and or your tank. So you can control whether it goes in your tank just to fill your tank, or whether it goes into your city supply, which is in your coach. Here's the valve that controls where the fresh water goes. At the top, it's either going into the auto tank fill and auto city supply. If you turn it to the right, it's just going into the city supply only. If you turn it down, then it's going into what's called a tank fill. So if you just want to fill the tank, have it pointing down. One word of caution when you're operating the fill is there's a warning label here. It says city water and tank fill connection should be a maximum of 60 psi. So you don't want to go over 60 psi for any water connection that you hook onto your hose. There are there's a gray tank and a black tank rinse. These connections are for a hose connection. After you've emptied your gray tank or your black tank, you'll want to rinse the tank and let that drain to clean your hoses and your tanks out. We'll get to that in a minute. There is, just below those two, there's a black tank rinse and a gray tank rinse low point. So when you're using these, after you're finished, you'd want to drain those low points here and here so you don't have any water that's going into those lines, especially if you're storing the coach or winterizing it. Now you'll see here there's some labels going across the bottom. Gray tank, drain outlet, sewage water tank. So just below each one of these labels, you've got, here is your gray tank control valve. Here's the main drain outlet here, right below that one. And the sewage holding tank release is here. So if I want to drain the sewage or black tank, this is the valve I open. If I want the main drain to be open, that's this valve.
Without using the macerator.
Right, without using the macerator. And if I want to empty the gray tank, I would open this valve. Now there's two ways to dump the fluid in your coach. You can either go through this port here, hooking on a hose here, and then out to the sewage, or you can use this small hose here. This hose goes through a macerating device and grinds up all the effluent. So you make the choice. You can go through the main and not have anything macerated, or you can use the macerator. So how do you use this macerator? Well, you've got to hook this up to the sewer. You'll have to remove the cap here or here, hook that up to the sewer going through here like this. All right, so if we choose the macerator for draining our tanks, we'll open the valve first, making sure the cap is off here. Cap off, macerator valve open. After that's open, then we can turn our macerator on, which is called RV Sanacon. We turn this on, and then we would open up our gray or sewage valves, and then those tanks will drain out through here that goes through the macerator. I would suggest that you drain the sewage first. After the sewage is drained, then drain the gray tank so that all of the fluid coming out of the gray tank is rinsing out the hose that's somewhat cleaning that hose. After you've drained both tanks, then you'd want to do your black tank and gray tank rinse. After you've done the rinse and the line is empty, then you would turn your RV Sanacon off. After your RV Sanacon's off, your lines are rinsed, you're ready to store it. You just reverse procedure, take this out of the sewer drain, put your cap on, pull the hose back up through. Yeah, close. After you close these valves, then pull this tank through. And that's how we'd use the macerator. Now, if we're using the main drain without having it ground up and going through the small hose, we can use the large hose here. Basic operation is the same, except you won't need to turn the RV Sanacon on because it's just going through this manual discharge. It's not running the macerator and going through the small hose. After you drain it through here manually, you would turn these off and then this main off after you've done your rinse. And that's your basic operation of how to drain the tanks, whether it's through the Sanacon or through this manual dump. On the right-hand side here is your water pump. The water pump does have a small screen. So if the water pump is on and you're not getting water into the coach, check your screen. If you're just using your freshwater tank and the pump is running but you're not getting anything in the coach, this screen can be removed and cleaned if it's blocked with any debris. When you're done, put that screen back on. If it was very dirty, turn your pump back on, turn your water pump back on, and you will likely have water pressure again. When you're operating your water pump and you're pulling water out of your freshwater tank, you want to have this pointed to either the top or side, auto tank fill or city. You don't want it to be on manual fill, otherwise the pump won't be pulling it out of this tank. So just remember, have this pointed to the right-hand city or auto tank city fill in order to use the water pump. There is a small switch here on the right-hand side. This is a thermostat that allows the heating system in this compartment to turn on. When this reaches about 37 degrees, if you have your ITR Oasis on, there's a fan and a heat core that will come on as long as the burner is turned on in the Oasis, that keeps this compartment warm if you're in a cold climate. So just remember that. This is an important device that turns the heat on and keeps everything in this compartment from freezing. Just to the left of our RV SantaCon switch is a panel. This panel is your fresh water panel. It shows tanks, power, and exterior. So if we go to our tanks, we're going to see now that we, let's say, have emptied our tanks, they should all show 0 or nothing. There won't be a line showing any fluid in them. If we turn the water pump on, let's say, for instance, I press that, I can hear the pump. You can see the blue line that comes on after I press that. There's the autofill and the top off. They work the same way. You just touch it, blue line comes on. It tells you those functions are working or they're turned on. If I go back to the home screen and go to power, I have the option of turning the generator on, starting and stopping the generator, and I'll be able to see my battery voltages here. Back to the home screen, our last icon that we can select is the exterior lights or generator. And you can turn on your exterior security lights. Back at the home screen, you do have a dimmer switch here. You can dim the lights down. Just to the left of our home screen, we've got our shower. This can be removed. We can go to hot or cold to rinse things off or wash things out in this area. The winterizing instructions here refer to draining the low point drains here. That would be here and here, and one additional low point drain is back here. Let me show you. This valve needs to be opened to drain the freshwater tank. So drain the freshwater tank here and then open up the low point drains here to drain all the water out. Close them back up before you add your winterizing solution. To store the hose, we disconnect the hose supply. It has a power cord reel here. So we take it out of the rubber and press the switch, and it will retract. The light is on when the door is open. It has a magnetic switch, so when we close the door, the light will go out. All right. In the compartment just in front of the water bay compartment is the cord reel compartment. The cord reel compartment has an automatic transfer switch. The automatic transfer switch either chooses to get power from the generator or get power from the shore cord. That power that's coming in here is displayed here. If there's any faults that are happening with the power supply or transfer switch, those faults are going to be displayed here. Otherwise, you're going to see what the shore power supply is coming in here on this display panel. It should be 120 volts. 122 and 121 are displaying right now. You can go screen up or down. You can scroll to look at the other screens. Just below that, you've got your cable for part cable supply. If you plug your part cable supply in here, you'll need to turn your wind guard over the air antenna off to get this cable supply. Behind the cord reel compartment is an ABS cover for breakers and fuses that are 12 volt. You've got your 12 volt You got your 12-volt panel, and those fuses are labeled here. The B are for the breakers, and the F are for the fuses that are replaceable. The breakers will need to be reset manually. So if you have one that's labeled B and it trips, you can reach in and press the center of the breaker to reset it. If you have a fuse that's blown, let's say for, let's say your cockpit lights quit working, F7, you go to that fuse F7 and pull it out and it's blown and you replace it, then the cockpit lights will come back on. But each one of those fuses has a label, so if you don't know which one it is, just look on the back of this panel and it'll tell you. The battery disconnect is here for your house. Your charge bridge to help both battery banks charge is here. And there's an additional fuse on each side of our charge bridge that's labeled chassis, and it tells you the amperage right on it. So if you're not getting a charge bridge, check your fuses. When you're finished, just slide this back around the cord reel and the Velcro on the back side will hold it in place. So when your cord reel is plugged in, you'll notice here that as long as there's power coming into the shore cord, there's a green LED displayed that tells you you have power. When we disconnect our shore cord, just pull down and that pulls it out. And to store the cord, we lift it up out of the rubber and press here, and automatically retract the hose. So our next compartment back is our ITR Oasis. ITR, what does that mean? International Thermal Research. That's the name of the company that builds the Oasis Chinook. It's a hydronic heating system. It has two modes of operation, 120 volt for the two elements and a diesel burner to create heat. So the burner can be on independent of the elements, or you can run them both at the same time. If in the event the control panel inside doesn't work or doesn't turn it on, you got to make sure this is on, obviously first, but even if this was on and the panel on the inside didn't make it turn on, Newmar supplies you with an additional panel here that can be plugged into the cable that goes into the silver box, and you can operate it manually instead of through the touch panel. So just keep that in mind in an emergency. If this wasn't operational and the panels weren't, working, you can connect this to the cable and operate it manually for heat or hot water. This switch needs to be turned on first. That's your main power switch to this unit. As long as you see a green solid light, that's good. If you see any of these lights that are flashing green, that's a fault. If you see any of those green lights that are faulting, you'd want to have that serviced. Let's say the compressor was flashing green. That would mean you need to have the compressor serviced. If any of the bottom lights for the igniter, flame out, voltage, or low water are lit, they will not be green flashing, they will be red. So if you see any of these turning red, those would have to be serviced. So just keep that in mind. Any green flashing means service, or any red light would mean service. Same goes for the silver box panel that's up here. If you look at it now, you'll see nothing but green lights. If any of those lights turn red, this front cover panel can be removed, and there's a fuse behind there. You can take these panels off manually, and you can look to make sure that the fuse behind it, there's fuses on either side, and I'll let the camera get a little closer up of that. So if you see a red light on any of these, look inside, take the cover off, and replace the fuse. When you're finished, put the cover back on. It just slips back on like this. Press it in place. You'll notice a shut-off valve here to this line. That's your hot water line that goes up to the front of the spigot that we showed you earlier. If you need to turn that off, you're going to winterize. After you drain it, well, actually, before you drain it, turn this off, then drain, then winterize. But this is the valve for the on-off that goes up to the spigot in the front. There are two additional buttons on the side here that can be pressed. One is to bypass and reset. Just refer to your owner's manual for those. Typically, you won't need to reset or bypass, but occasionally a reset might be something that's recommended. Bypass is something that a technician would typically do. When the burner is on, you'll be able to look through the sight glass, and you'll be able to see the burner and an orange, kind of a yellow flame that's operating here. When the AC elements are on, the green light will be lit here. When the compressor is on, the green light here, or the fuel pump, the green light here. All of these should be solid green. Any flashing green, you'll need service. This needs to be serviced once a year, and refer to your operator's manual for the type of service that needs to be done, because on the second and third and fourth year, the service needs to be done, but it's a deeper service and additional parts need to be replaced. So you can see here we're running the slide out back in. And before you do that operation, whether you're running it out or in, you want to make sure there's nothing above the slide or around the sides or back. You want to make sure that it's clear before you run it in. But there's a gap that you'll notice here that's about 3/8 of an inch. And that is a standard basic measurement that you want to view visually before you run your slide out to the extend position. The reason that we want to do that is if this is too close of a gap, let's say it's touching, we want to move our coach to a more level spot. If your coach is way out of level, there's a chance that this might be touching. If it's touching, you're going to have the Z trim touching the fascia trim. This is your Z trim, this is your fascia trim, and they're going to touch, and you're going to scratch the paint. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure that this gap on both ends and the bottom here are about equal. In our next compartment forward is our battery compartment. These are lithium batteries, and these are the inverters that charge those batteries. These inverters will also take power out of the batteries and invert it into 120 volts for our appliances. So these inverters serve two purposes, either charging the batteries or inverting and taking the power out of the batteries and putting it into the coach to operate the appliances. Those functions can be turned off right here and on the panel inside. I can turn both inverters on here just by pressing towards the up or on position, and you'll see my inverters on both. I can turn them both off right here. In the center position now they're both off, so I'm not going to get any charging or any inverting power inside. Typically when I store the coach, but I want to use the inverters to keep the batteries charged, if I have the coach plugged in storage, I would just turn it to the charger only, which is the bottom one here. Now I'm only going to charge. I'm not going to be inverting any power into the kitchen. If you're using the coach, leave them on, invert, which is on. As long as they're turned on, if you lose power, let's say your shore cord loses power and you didn't remember to turn your automatic generator starter on, your AGS, at least the batteries will supply your refrigerator power so you can keep your food cold until you get back. So in a power loss situation, you always want to have your inverters turned on to keep that from happening. And these need to be turned on downstairs in order for the remote panels to be used correctly. So just make sure, just like the ITR Oasis, that top button has to be turned on, the ITR Oasis has to be turned on. Same with the inverters, we got to have both inverters turned on here to operate them in the touch panels inside. The lithium battery system that you see here is an option in this coach. So you can have the lithium or the standard AGM batteries. Lithium is an option. If you look to the left of the batteries here, you'll see the BMS. The BMS can be turned on and off with the blue switch in the overhead right above the driver's seat. Or that same blue switch is on the backs, on the side of that white box, the BMS. It's the same exact switch. You can turn it on and off downstairs here if you can reach in the back side, but it's a lot easier in the overhead. So once you turn the BMS off, you're cutting the power off that goes into your coach. But that same blue switch is a reset switch. So if these get down to 10% power or 10% state of charge, you'll need to press that blue switch in the overhead to turn these back on to supply power in the coach. If you do that though, you're on your last 10%. You want to plug your coach in or turn your generator on to get these to charge those batteries. Just in front of the battery compartment, we have our fuel fill. This is the same fuel fill that goes to the same tank as the other side. Docking light, marker light. And then our last compartment at the front driver's side is the fuses for the cockpit here and here. These fuses are the ones that Newmar added for all of your shades and radios and things. These are the fuses that are for or from the chassis side. So let's take a quick look at these. If you take this panel off, you'll be able to see what these fuses and relays are for. Let's say your seat stopped working, the controls or the heat won't move forward or back. You should come out here, loosen these tabs, and once you take this off and flip it over, you can see here there's seat heat 1, seat heat 2. So you had to go to that number 24 or 23, check that fuse. If it needs to be replaced, we have additional fuses here. Replace the fuse, check to make sure your heat on the seat is working. Or let's say one of these little red LED lights come on. That's an indication that that fuse is blown. Take that fuse out, find one that's the same size, put it back in, and make sure you get another new fuse to replace it. So if you see a red LED light here below any one of these fuses, that's a fuse that needs to be replaced. We don't have those lights that come on here. You'll have to check it manually by looking at the fuse after you pull it here. These fuses on the top control things like if I'm If I get up close enough, I can see mirror, I can see jack buzzer, I can see keyless entry for our door, things like that. So they're labeled, but it's small print. So if you've got something in the cockpit area that's not working, come out here, look for the LED, the red LED light that's lit. That's the fuse that will need to be replaced. When you're finished, put this back. Tighten the tabs. There is a windshield wiper wash bar here. It's extendable, so you can keep your windshield clean or your other windows. And we covered this earlier. This is your generator slide extend or retract switch here. Just above our fuse panels is a 120 volt labeled living room box. That's for your floor heat connection here.